Yo. What's going on, man? Today is April the 16th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA Show, where we're live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well, man. Top of the morning. It's 7:06 here on the East Coast. And we got a two-game play-in tournament slot for tonight, which it's good to get basketball back. And then tomorrow we got two more games as well. So um, I told you guys yesterday, if you had a chance to tune into yesterday's video, that I was going to make an in-depth video on some of the odds for teams to win series and stuff like that. And I'm still going to do that. That just won't happen in this video. But I wanted to give you guys a more thorough breakdown. None of these lines have really changed since yesterday, but I wanted to give you guys a thorough breakdown of the four games that we do have between today and tomorrow. So that's what the show is going to be on today. Like I said, it'll be a separate video, maybe even this evening on, series prices and different things like that. We still don't even know all the series because the 1-2 seeds still have to be decided. So we got a lot of time before the weekend gets here to kind of get into those. But I do have some thoughts on those games specifically. So as always, if you guys find the show helpful, hit the like button. Let's jump into it for today. First game we have on the board is my Los Angeles Lakers. They will be in New Orleans taking on this Pelicans team. And I think I did misquote I did say the wrong thing yesterday. I think one time, but I did clarify. I saw some people clarify in the comments. But the Lakers do, if the winner of this game does get the 7th seed. So do the Lakers want to play against? This was the topic of conversation yesterday throughout like a lot of sports radio. I don't really listen to a lot of it, but somebody sent me a clip and I was listening to the clip and it said that this was, talked about heavily, was do the Lakers want to avoid the Denver Nuggets in the first round? And I do think you can't really play with the basketball guys, man. I don't think you want to put yourself in that situation. Now, could I be wrong? I could absolutely be wrong. Like, maybe the Pelicans want to match up. Maybe the Pelicans don't want to find themselves in a play-in spot. But I'll say this about the game. I'll say that the Lakers, they did finish the season, and you could take all this with a grain of salt. Maybe it doesn't matter, but the Lakers finished the season on a 7-3 run straight up. The losses that they had came to the Golden State Warriors at home, to the Minnesota Timberwolves at home. Those games were played without Anthony Davis. He didn't fully finish either one of those games. The other loss that they had actually came against the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. That was a fatigue spot. It was the third game in 4 nights, and it was a revenge spot for the Pacers because they had just lost to LA, I think like maybe 4 days before in LA on that Sunday. I remember taking the under in that game and it flew over the total. So as we already said, the winner of this game gets the Denver Nuggets, which is a hell of a prize, I guess. And then the loser, of course, gets the winner of the Golden State and Sacramento game. So do the Lakers want to risk losing to New Orleans to avoid playing Denver in the first round, then potentially having to beat either the Sacramento Kings or the Golden State Warriors? My guess is no. I think you take what you get versus having to play Golden State in a one-off type game just to get the Oklahoma City Thunder. The winner, of course, of that game, of the loser of this game plays the winner of Golden State Sacramento. The winner of that game gets the Oklahoma City Thunder because they'll be the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So with that being said, it's still a difficult game. It's still a game that I haven't bet. You don't really see anything change much. Yesterday, this total did drop. I think it opened at 226 down to 223.5. And, from a head-to-head perspective, I do kind of feel like the Lakers could go in and beat the Pelicans again. Now, will the Pelicans be motivated? Yes. Are there a lot of trends that support the Pelicans in this spot? Absolutely. But the Lakers have beaten the Pelicans 3 times, all of them dominating fashion. 3 to 4 times that they've played them this season. The last of the 4 games that they have played, the last 3 have actually gone over the total. And a big part of it is because New Orleans, they really struggle to contain the Lakers. The Lakers are a team that like to really get out and run in the break, run the break. And they've scored. The Lakers have scored 124 points or more in 3 of the 4 games that they played against this Pelicans team. So I can't get there with the under. I know it should be an under type game. The trends and all my numbers tell me to go under as well. But even if the Lakers lose this game, and let's just say the Pelicans, win, I think the Pelicans are going to be able to score. Like the team that has won the game between all four matchups this season, the team that's won the game have won. They've won by margin, and they scored a lot of points, like 120 or better in every single game. So I think I would lean a little bit more towards the Pelicans to be able to score in this spot if you like the Pelicans, and maybe potentially stay off the spread. Maybe it's not even a big spread type game. Just look towards their team total to go over if you think that they're gonna come out with vengeance. Now, Brandon Ingram did. Their coach Willie Green did say that Brandon Ingram is going to see a minutes increase in this game, and of course, it was his last game back. The last game was his first game back against the Lakers the other day. So that should bode well, I guess, for the Pelicans. But he could still be a little rusty. He could still throw off the chemistry in this matchup. And I told, like, if you've been listening to the show throughout the season, you know that I'm not big on betting too many Laker games. I said that I like their chances on Sunday, but I haven't really bet too many Laker games. Partially because they are my team, and I don't really like betting on my team. They can also be very, very just very difficult to bet, man. Very difficult team to gauge. They will need to make sure they're not turning the ball over. The Pelicans will want to get out and run in transition here. If you watched a couple matchups, and the other thing I think about is this too. So the game that the Pelicans this is like some deep diving into the homework. I just remember this spot. So the Lakers are 3-1 to the Pelicans this season. The game that the Pelicans actually beat the Lakers was the game that the Pelicans were at home. The Lakers were in a fatigue spot. They were on the second leg of a back-to-back. I think it was a third game in 4 nights, and they had that major revenge off the coming off the play-in tournament where the Lakers actually smoked them on national TV. All the reports came out about Zion being overweight, so they had the Lakers circled in that spot, and we were on the Pelicans. I remember vividly being on the Pelicans. I think the line was like a -4, -4.5. So I mean, the other 3 matchups, the Lakers have kind of dominated this team, and that's one of the things that kind of keeps me up. I think it's a very, very difficult game to bet, and I wish you guys luck. If you are going to bet it, that trend, the biggest trend that stood out to me in this game was the one that I told you about the Pelicans. So since the start of the 2019 season, going back about 4 or 5 years now, teams that are favorites after losing as a favorite within a 3-day time frame, they are 106-48 straight up. That's 68.8% says to just take the Pelicans in the spot and they should win the game, because you don't really have to lay anything, right? You just take them on the money line if you like the Pelicans. In those 154 games, they are also 86, 66, and 2 to the under, which is about 56%. That same trend after the All-Star break is 74 and 27, which is about 73.3%. So it gets even stronger for the Pelicans if we're looking at a game after the All-Star break where, the favorite just lost within 3 days. So it's a quick revenge spot. And in those games, if those teams are, looking for revenge, they're 57, 42, and 2 to the under, which is 57.6% as well. So really, really strong trends here, whether it's, last 5 years, looking at these bounce back spots, or it's, looking towards the under. 2 strong trends for the Pelicans here. Whether you want to take the under or take the Pelicans to win the game. And those are my thoughts. I'm not betting the game. I just wanted to give you guys some thoughts. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. What up to my guy, Justin Hude? Eric, what's going on, my brother? Appreciate you for tapping in. What up, Brian? Zachariah, my guy. Chill says, Lakers, let's go. We're not worried about Denver. Okay. Justin likes Austin Reeves over his 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He said he got it at -106 on his card. I think Austin Reeves has a big spot here, a big game here. And that is a super low number. I'm probably gonna get into some props, but I haven't gotten into props yet. I can see this though. I can definitely see this. Hopefully nothing crazy. To your play, Justin. Maybe I would. Man, it's so many theatrics in the NBA. Do Anthony Davis fake an injury and Lakers just get blown out? Like it's so many things that could happen in this game, man. You don't even have to fake an injury if you're Anthony Davis. You could just get injured. What up, Marcus? Appreciate you for tapping in. Will says, rise and grind, kings and queens. Will says, Lakers come to play and win tonight. Okay. Michael says, you think the Lakers are going to tank tomorrow to avoid the Nuggets? So that game is tonight, right? It's not tomorrow. And I do not, Michael. I just don't feel like they're going to. And I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. Like maybe there's a path where the Lakers don't necessarily tank this game because people gonna look. No matter if the Lakers win or lose, people gonna look at the game. Like if the Lakers lose, but it looks like they give maximum effort, people still gonna say the Lakers tank the game, right? Like they gonna be like, man, the Lakers better than the Pelicans. Lakers should have won. But what if the Pelicans just come out here and play with maximum effort and beat this Lakers team in a typical bounce back spot? Like I could see that happening. So I don't think that the Lakers are going to do that, but I don't like the matchup against. I mean, how could you like the matchup against the Denver Nuggets? They're sitting at home resting right now. That's probably kicking themselves for losing that game to San Antonio and not having first home court advantage. However, I want to say this real quick too. If if the if the Lakers or the Golden State Warriors, I can't count Sacramento in, but if the Lakers or the Golden State Warriors end up playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder, or the Pelicans end up playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder in that one seed, I do think that they can win the series. Like we don't know, of course, and I'm speculating far down the line, but I do think that those three teams match up well against OKC because OKC likes to get out and run. Well, the Lakers don't match up as well against that, but Golden State I think could potentially beat OKC in the first round series. I think the Lakers could as well, and I think the Pelicans match up well against them as well. So there is a path, right, for Denver, who finished as the second seed because the Timberwolves ended up losing to the Suns. There is a path for the Timberwolves, for Denver to still have home court advantage in the second round if OKC was to lose in the first round. So I do think, like, I had to take some. I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, man, let me pause for a second. Like, this ain't a super lock that Denver not gonna have home court advantage. They will have home court advantage over everybody outside of OKC, and they've been in the OKC this season. They started the season, I think, in OKC with like a 20-point win. They absolutely smashed the Oklahoma City Thunder at OKC. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that as well. But to answer this question, Michael, I don't think that the Lakers are going to tank the game to avoid the Nuggets. But could it be smart? Absolutely. When the Nuggets have owned you that and like that. Marcus says this is the best era ever, and it's not even close. Do you see the first round matchups? Never been this good before. I kind of agree with this, Marcus. Like, it's good, man. It is really, really good. I do agree. Justin says ducking the Nuggets sounds crazy. Are we not men with pride? Either way, sooner or later you got to beat the Nuggets, and nobody said that they're gonna win the next game if they punt this game. And that's how I feel, Justin. I said the same thing, man. Like, all the marbles on the table, all the chips pushed in, right? You at the casino. You got the Lakers versus the Warriors. I really think either team could win the game. Like, I'm not counting out Golden State. So I'm right here with you, Justin. I agree. Ryan says small lean, half unit to the under. John says Valanciunas this season in 4 games versus the Lakers averages 18 minutes a game, with the last game only logging 7 minutes. Game before that had 22 minutes. He's a defensive liability. In LA's 3 wins, he scored the Lakers scored 139, 124, 133. I said that. I just said that. Valanciunas also didn't start the second half of I think Larry Nance Jr. started. And is Larry Nance Jr. on the injury report? I feel like I know he was I think he missed the game, right? Yeah, they don't have anybody in the injury report right now, but Larry Nance Jr. I think did miss that game on. I should have probably looked into that. Did Larry Nance Jr. miss the game on Sunday? I could be tripping. Maybe he didn't, because I know he did. I know Valanciunas didn't start the last game. Real quick, let me just double check it real quick. I need to. It's something that I didn't think about that from an X's and O's perspective. So let me just look at this game on Sunday real quick. So Valanciunas played 7 minutes, like you said, John, and Larry Nance Jr. did play 31 minutes. So yeah, I mean, Larry Nance Jr. probably going to be there just based off volume alone. He had 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in this last game. So good call out here by John. Mr. Cashout says, "What's up, Chris? I took the Lakers on the money line. I need them to show up. Pelicans score if AD is hobbled. If so, I like the over. Lakers will have to play small ball." And I would agree with this as well. I do think Lakers will have to play small ball if AD is hobbled. But AD said, he's getting 24-hour, around the clock treatment. It's just, man, this dude is so brittle, man. Jesus Christmas. Brian says, what's happening, Chris? Best time of the year. Need the Warriors W tonight. We are aligned there. Michael says maybe a 6-point teaser. I don't do teasers, Michael. Don't do teasers, man. But best of luck if you do get one here. Cash Out says gonna hedge the Lakers, gonna hedge my Lakers money line ticket, maybe Pelicans first half. Pelicans first half should be a good spot. It should be a good spot. They should come out motivated, especially in front of your home crowd. You don't want to lose back to back going into the playoffs. It kind of reminds me of the Orlando Magic. Remember, I said this about Orlando on Sunday when they were playing against the Bucks. I said, man, you don't want to go into the playoffs with 4 straight losses, right? Like you had a chance to finish as high as 2. You started the week in 3, but you got a chance to finish as low as 8, right? And you see them, take care of business and get the Bucks up out of there. The Pelicans don't want to go into the playoff, into potential elimination game when they were in the 6th seed before the season, before the last game of the season, lose that game, slide into 7, then lose the play-in game, and then you find yourself in an elimination game. You're not gonna feel good about yourself. So Pelicans first half should be a good spot. Ryan says if the Lakers keep winning, why does the books open at 1? They keep winning by margins. Yeah, it'll be too much value on the opposite side here, though, Ryan, if this line was to open up. I mean, plus it's a road game. One thing you got to remember about the Lakers, granted they did win the game, but the Lakers haven't been profitable on the road all season. I think there's something like 18-21 straight up on the road. So, when the rubber hits the road, the Lakers have been, playing some really good basketball. I said they were 7-3 in their last 10 games, but they haven't been a profitable road team this year. Justin says, I need 2 wins by the Dubs. I promise my daughter Disneyland in June, and he's for real about it. I like that, Justin. Disneyland is fun, man. Well, I haven't been to Disneyland. I've been to Disney Cruise with my son, and he loved it, man. It's crazy. Ryan says, fly, Pellies, fly. Let's see. Let me get to a couple more comments before we move on. John says, I don't love the game with small lean towards the Pels, but really looking at Faden Valanciunas. Again, averaging 18 minutes a game over his last 4 games this year. Last game only 8. Can't defend AD. Defensive liability. Couldn't talk you off. Jamie likes Pels first half. Bond says, I think they'll set out LeBron and AD because they prefer to play the Thunder. Okay. Bernie says, what's your thoughts on the game total? I'm just joining. So I think I talked about this, Bernie. I think if you go through and just look at the matchup between the two teams, and I'll just do this real quick. So if you look at, let me just pull it up real quick. I was looking into this yesterday. So this is one of the reasons why I couldn't take the under, even though the total is dropping, and it should be like a under type game. I think both of these teams just play with too much pace. There's too much 3-point variance for me to take the under. But so when the Lakers won, the 3 games that the Lakers won, they scored 133, 139, and 124. The game that the Lakers lost, they actually gave up 129. So, the only game that went under was the first game, and that was because the Pelicans only scored 89 points. I have a hard time thinking that these teams can't get to 223 points. In the playoffs, I'm an under type better. This total is already dropped. I think it's an over type game. I do think it's an over type game, but I didn't play it. What up, Brian? He says Golden State. We ought to get to that game. Appreciate all the comments. Let's see, Mr. Cash. So you from DMV? I'm from Central Virginia, Mr. Cash Out, closer to like Charlottesville. Shout out to the Bill. Will says it's crazy that even the casual bettors are thinking that the Lakers lose on purpose to avoid Denver. I've been handicapping for about 3.5 years and never seen anything like this before. And I agree. I do agree. What up, Prince? Appreciate you for tapping in as well. Let's see. Big MF Rich says main thing we got to remember is this isn't a regular season. This is a regular season anymore. Teams are playing for that check now. This is a good point as well. What up, Jamie? Appreciate you for tapping in. AB from Richmond. Word, I was just out there. I was out there this weekend, man. I took my son to Chuck E. Cheese on Broad Street. Was just in RVA. All right, so let's keep it pushing. Next game up, we have the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. This line is at 2.5. It's some threes out there as well. When I woke up this morning, I saw some threes on the board here for Golden State. Let's see. Yeah, it's actually at 3 on most books, and the totals come down now. It opened at 228.5, it's down to 224. I think I would agree with the movement there. I'm just I want to see how these teams kind of look before taking something as far as the total in the playoffs. And a lot of the totals that I give you guys throughout the playoffs and I give to the members, I think I might focus a little bit more in on team totals. Like if I like a specific team, I might take the team to play defense in a really good matchup. I'll take the team total to go under. So this is one I talked about yesterday. I gave this play out on Sunday. As soon as I saw the line open, did my quick research and I jumped in on this one, man. And this line, of course, has moved a lot. But I think you still can get, at least this morning, you can get Golden State minus 142, I think, on the money line. And I still lay the minus 142. I would put a unit, 1.42 units on the Golden State Warriors to win this game. If you like the analysis and the breakdown and you join it late. So you didn't watch the show yesterday and you're not a member. So the Warriors, the thing that always comes back to me for the Warriors is how well they played on the road. So they finished 19-2 this season as road favorites. That's 90.5% of the games that they played on the road, they won when they were a favorite. They won they won those games by average of 11 points, including they finished the season on a 13-game win streak when they were road favorites. Like that to me was like enough, right? I'm like, I kind of remember that trend because we've been talking about it throughout the last few weeks of the season. 13 wins in a row as road favorites in their last 13 games. They also won in Sacramento on opening night. They beat them 122-114. They lost in Sacramento by 1 point as well. It was a game where Malik Monk actually played 25 minutes off the bench and had 21 points. I said it in yesterday's video. I think Monk is going to be missed a lot in this game because they won't have the services, of course, in this game tonight. Sacramento, they are a plus 2.5 in as far as like point score per 100 possessions without Monk on the floor. But it feels to me like the number is like a tad bit inflated, maybe against some poor teams. They did just beat Portland by like 100 points because Portland was playing like the GG Leagues team. So I don't think the numbers tell a true story there, especially with Golden State defense kind of carried them on the road. So I looked a little bit deeper into that, right? I just told you guys that Golden State was 19-2 straight up as road favorites this season. Golden State's actually held opponents to 43% shooting, 33.5% three-point shooting, and they're +5 in rebounding as road favorites this season. So I like the Warriors on the road, man. Like I said, I already gave this play out. Sacramento has only been home dogs 5 times this season. They've lost 3 of those. They've lost 3 of those 5 games, including the last 2 against the Mavs and the Suns. And the only home game that they were dogs this season without Malik Monk came against the Phoenix Suns just a few nights ago, and they lost that game as well. They only lost by 1, and of course that game went under against Phoenix. I think it was like 108-107. But for all those reasons, man, I do like the Warriors. I looked at it from an X's and O's perspective. I expect Golden State to be able to knock down shots here. On the season, they finished second in above the break threes, and Sacramento finished the season as the worst defense versus the above the break three. Now, did get stronger throughout the season, right? The defense, of course, has played a lot better, but they still allowed teams to make 39% of their above the break threes. And overall, their three-point defense finished 29th, while Golden State threes this season, and they made those shots at the 8th highest rate. So I think Golden State should be able to take advantage from the three-point line here. Over the last 2 weeks, Sacramento has also shot the second most corner threes. So Sacramento shooting a bunch of threes, and they're only making 36.5% of those threes, which ranks 22nd. So the 8th worst three-point shooting team from the corner three, although that is the shot that they shoot at the second highest percentage out of all teams in the NBA. So they are second in overall three-point frequency, and Golden State's defense has been about average from that shot zone. So Golden State will need to get their three-point defense together because they've been playing against some cupcakes. I mentioned that on yesterday's show. Sacramento has played the much more difficult schedule. So Golden State will need to lock in defensively from the three-point line. Sacramento has also pushed the pace a ton. They're 12th in transition frequency and number 1 in points per 100 possessions, and Golden State's transition defense has been a little bit below average as well. But I think that they clean that up here. Like I said, I like Golden State in this spot a lot. And I did play them. Like I said, we locked it in at -115 on DraftKings when it first came out, and I put 2 units on it. I think it's my fourth 2-unit play this season when I gave it out on Sunday. As far as the total in this game, Sacramento also 4-1 to the under as home dogs this season, with those games totaling about 220 points on average. You got a Warriors team 14-7 to the under as road favorites this season. And last 5 games, Sacramento, I think they finished 15th in pace. You got a Golden State team that's 21st in pace. So a lean towards the under, but this total has already come down 4.5 points. And like I said, it wasn't anything that that felt super strong to me. I did kind of lean towards the under from the beginning, but it's not anything that I played. Maybe even the Sacramento team total to go under, just because you expect Golden State to be able to bring it defensively. But we saw Golden State in this spot a couple weeks ago. Golden State was in Houston. And, just because Houston wasn't able to, get stops in a very meaningful game, like their season was pretty much on the line in that spot as well, because they couldn't lose that game. Pretty much were going to be eliminated from the play-in. And Golden State were able to get whatever it is that they wanted offensively. And because of that, we saw, Golden State kind of let up on the defensive end. So, I could see a world where this game goes over and Golden State doesn't play, like they don't need to play as much defense because Sacramento is just really struggling to guard the three-point line. So I stayed away from the total in this game, but I do like Golden State. And if I had to play it, I would play Golden State right now at a -142. Of course, you're losing value, and that's why you get to the line early, but that's the only way I'm looking here. I like Golden State in this matchup here today. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. PZ says Warriors -2.5 in my back pocket. Big Rich says, but definitely taking Lakers total over 226. Brian says Golden State -2.5 / money line. Like it so much, I bet it twice. Okay. Chill says that does not make sense to lose to the Pels and then have to play the Kings and they own the Lakers. And this is another fact, Chill. Sabonis owns Anthony Davis. The Lakers can't beat the Kings. Kings play with a little bit too much pace. De'Aaron Fox is unguardable for all of the Lakers guards. Like, I would agree here. I definitely agree with this. John says Sacramento, different team without Monk. And not having heard it doesn't help their spacing. And I agree with this as well. You got Keon Ellis and Davion Mitchell, which are, better defenders than Monk, but, they really struggle to score the basketball. So you're going to need like a really big game from Keegan Murray and from, a guy like Harrison Barnes, who can go stagnant on the offensive end. So I definitely agree with this comment. Brian says there is only one playoff mode. It does not include losing. Back the Lakers. Let's go. So Brian liked the Lakers. John says took the over 218.5 when it opened. BMF says Big Rich says Warriors money line, and he likes the over 225.5. What's up, Mark? Good morning, my brother. He says Golden State money line it is. Thanks for your hard work breaking these down, Chris. Yeah, appreciate that, Mark. Hude says 30-point night for LeBron and Steph. I could potentially be one. I didn't bet any props. What's up, Lightbearer? Appreciate you for tapping in. Jabba the Hutt, appreciate you for being here as well. He says watching the replay, but hopefully you see this. Let's get some cash, I think he means. And I wish you the best day. Appreciate that, Jabba. Definitely on the Warriors. Live with the results. That's how I feel with it as well. G Swag says, I would take Golden State money line or Sacramento plus the points. You got to pick one, G Swag. You can't play both. Guess you could play both, but yeah, you find yourself in a weird situation there. Ryan says, I don't know if it's going to be that easy. It came to -3.5 already for the Warriors. That's why you get in on the money line early. And like I said, it is a -142 out there if you like the money line. I didn't touch the spread. Did not touch the spread. Chill says Monk might be back tonight. That is not accurate. He will not be back tonight. And Maurice likes Fox points and Sabonis under his 13.5 rebounds. Maurice also says Curry points. I could see Steph or Clay having a big 3-point shooting night in this game, if I'm being honest with you guys. But I didn't play either one. All right, so moving on to Atlanta and Chicago. So this was a game that I briefly touched on yesterday. And shout out to my guy, I think it might have been John, that hit me in the DMs and was talking about the total in this game. And I thought it made a lot of sense. And that total is, of course, went up. So that's kind of where I want to start here. So I'm gonna just read John's comment from my DM, and I like that. I should have probably just jumped on it when he did. This total, so the line is at 3. It hasn't really moved much. I think it was 3.5, and the total opened at 2. I think I saw 218, 219, whichever. It's now up to 221, and I agree with the movement going up here. So John says in the comments, he says, like your breakdown on Atlanta and Chicago, because we talked about this yesterday. He said, I know the playoffs are around the corner and the scoring drops. But with what you said about Chicago defending the 3 and Atlanta's defense taking a hit with Trey back, obviously the offense gets better. So with all that being said, I like the over 218 as my top play for the game. And I wish I would have got there. I probably would have played the total in this one. Maybe potentially still could get there with the play on the total in this one. I don't know what's going to happen from a side perspective, if I'm being honest with you guys. We talked about this yesterday. The Atlanta Hawks are a Jekyll and Hyde team. The Chicago Bulls are also a Jekyll and Hyde team that I don't want to lay points with. The Bulls have not done well. They've kind of been like the Miami Heat, which we're going to touch on in a couple seconds. But the Bulls as home favorites this season, not profitable. Just 11-11 straight up and only 9-13 against the spread this season, which is 40%. They're actually winning those games by a little less than 3 points per game, and they've lost the last 2 outright. They lost to the Hawks, lost to the Wizards in this spot, and now they get the Hawks again. And in the course of their last, 7 games as a home favorite, they've lost 5 of them. So they're just 5-2. I'm sorry, 2-5 straight up. And they've only covered 1 spread. So this is not a spot where I want to be laying points with the Chicago Bulls. I do think that they've been playing the better basketball of the 2 teams over the last 2 weeks. But it's not anything that I want to bet. Now, Trae Young being back, this will be his 3rd game back, of course. All the marbles, on the table here, because this is win or go home, right? You get an Atlanta offense that's really struggled over the last 2 weeks, 24th in offensive rating, 27th in turnover rating, that's kind of been the bread and butter for the Atlanta Hawks. One of the things that you can trust the Atlanta Hawks to do is protect the basketball. With Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, they typically don't turn the ball over as much, but they turn the ball over at the 3rd highest rate over the last 2 weeks. Like, this is like Detroit Pistons territory. Like, they really turned the basketball over. 6th worst net rating team over the last 2 weeks as well. Chicago's defense is kind of middle of the pack. Like I said, kind of Jekyll and Hyde type team, man, that I don't want to put my money on. They are forcing the 11th most turnovers over the last 2 weeks, and they have been doing a really good job of limiting offensive rebounds for their opponent. And Atlanta really been struggling in that department as well. No Jalen Johnson, of course, in this spot. Man, it's a difficult game. What I will say is we go through the 3-point defense. I'll just mention this one more time. I mentioned it on yesterday's show, and then I'll get to your comments, and then we'll move on to the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat game. Is that the 3-point shot, right? So over the last 2 weeks, Atlanta is taking the 5th most corner threes, and that's the most volatile spot for the Chicago Bulls. Chicago is allowing the 2nd most attempts from the corner 3, and teams are shooting 43% from the 3-point line. If Atlanta gets hot, like we've seen them do against, the Boston Celtics, they got a bunch of 3-point shooters. Bojan Bogdanovic, DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, of course, DeAndre Hunter. They got guys that can stretch the floor and knock down the 3-point shot. And the Bulls really struggle. So it doesn't make for the best matchup here, which is why I'm not laying the 3 points with the Bulls. The Bulls also have DeMar DeRozan, who is the second. I think he's like 2nd in clutch points per game this season behind Steph Curry. So, the Bulls always find themselves in a game that, is 1-2 possessions. And that's one of the reasons I'm staying off of this game as well. But that 3-point defense is really, really big because Atlanta is a team that's going to live and die by the 3, in my opinion, in this game. Like, I don't see them really getting to the rim and putting a lot of pressure on the rim. Chicago's rim defense hasn't been that great. Chicago's rim defense has not been that great. Let me switch it real quick. So I want to look at Atlanta's 3-point defense and see what Atlanta's been doing defensively. So Atlanta's defense is, let's see if it matches up both ways for over. Atlanta's defense has been 22nd over the last 2 weeks. Of course, a big part of that was giving up 160 points in a meaningless game on Sunday against the Indiana Pacers. Indiana came in there and blew the doors off of them, almost at 100 points through 3 quarters. No, almost at 100 points through halftime. So 22nd rated defense over the last 2 weeks for the Atlanta Hawks, 25th in opponent effective field goal percentage. They are doing a really good job of rebounding the basketball, though, limiting teams to the fewest offensive rebound chances. And you look at the Chicago's offense, they've been putting a lot of pressure on the rim. Fourth in rim frequency, second in long mid range frequency. We know DeRozan and guys like Caruso, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu wants to get to that mid range shot. They have been shooting threes as well, though. Like this team has been shooting a lot of shots, pretty much from everywhere outside of above the break three. They're not a team that shoots a lot of those shots. They actually don't shoot a lot of threes in general, but the shot zones that they typically shoot from, like paint, mid range, and long mid range, pretty much everything that's not a 3-point shot, they have been shooting them well. They're third in paint accuracy over the last 2 weeks. They are eighth in mid range and all mid range shot accuracy. About 18th in rim accuracy. And you look at Atlanta's defense, they have been pretty good in those shot zones as well. Outside of long mid range accuracy, they're 20th in that shot zone. They have been pretty good in those departments, man. So it's like I said this yesterday. It's a really difficult game to handicap, and it's not one that I think I want to put my money on. But whatever you guys want in this one, and I see Dominique said in the comments, Hawks money line. I think that's the way I would look as well, man. I think the Hawks have a chance just because it is a one-off type game. I think that if I had to play it, that's the way I would play it as well. But to me, it does really truly feel like a gamble. Let's see what you guys are saying before we get to the last game on the board. Let's see. John says, I commented I took the over 218.5 in Sacramento Golden State. That was wrong. It was Chicago Atlanta game. So disregard that last comment. What else you guys saying here? Wayne says, Bulls laying 3. Man, give me the Hawks. I like it. Lingowick says, I'm betting this game live, and that could be the best way to do it. Brian says, Atlanta +3. This comes down to the wire, possible overtime. So I took the points. I couldn't talk you off, man. Lingowick says, Bulls love going down double digits, then coming back in the second half in games. And this is a fact. And it's because their offense is so inconsistent. Boy. Dominique likes the Hawks on the money line. T Money says, this is a weird game. Justin says he got in on the Hawks at +3.5 as soon as they're open. Going to look at some numbers on the total after the show, but everything you said makes sense to the over. Yeah, I mean, you really just need Chicago to be able to come along for the ride. Like, what defensive effort do you get from the Atlanta Hawks with their season on the line here? Like, remember, one thing I think about it, like Atlanta is scary because when you think about Atlanta, granted they don't have Jalen Johnson, but remember last year they actually did they take Boston like to Game 6? Like Atlanta's not going to roll over. Granted, they haven't been a really good team. And I think, recency bias, you look at them in their last game against the Indiana Pacers on Sunday, and you're like, man, this team is not good. Like they're probably, going to get smoked. And could that happen? Yeah. But you also got the Bulls coming off an overtime game against the Knicks the other day as well. So I just don't like trusting the Bulls to win by any margin. So I agree with Justin here. Will says Hawks +3 for me. I know they're unreliable, but once I seen Torrey Craig throw himself oop off the glass and Drummond tried to catch it over his own teammate, I knew their season was over. Yeah, bro. If you guys did not get a chance to see this, please go back and watch this replay, man. Coach Billy Donovan's face is hilarious. This is not something that you want to miss, man. Probably the funniest moment of the NBA season. Shout out Will for dropping this. Tariq says, good morning. On the way to work, the Bulls never have a lead. It's always to the wire in comparison to the Hawks. When they're up big. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Mark says, can't trust either team. That's why I'm off of it. Sheeny says, Hawks for me, bro. Big Rich likes the Hawks money line in the over 220. Jamie says he's off the game. Michael says, thanks so much for Sunday, Chris. You practically nail all 15 games with your leans. Yeah, it was a pretty good day on Sunday, man. If you guys tuned in, for sure. DJ Prop says the words defense and Trae Young don't go together, and that's a fact. I would agree there. Oda Glow says I like the Hawks here too, but it's still hard to trust the worst covering team in the last 30 years, and this is a fact. This team does not cover spreads. All the chips on the table, though, you would think that they would come to play. Let me look at the Hawks as road dogs real quick with a short line. So Hawks. Road dogs line, let's just say they're getting less than 4 points. They are 5-5 straight up. And this is why you take them. 5-5 straight up. They've actually won back-to-back games as short dogs of 4 points or less. They beat this Bulls team, of course, they beat them by 12. They were getting 2, and they beat the Knicks by 16, and they were getting 1.5 back on March the 5th. Yeah. So before that, they had lost 3 in a row, though. This is like a real Jekyll and Hyde type team. Yeah, but on the season, 5-5 straight up, 5-5 against the spread as a short road dog of 4 points or less, losing the game by an average of 1 point, 118 to 119 is the Atlanta Hawks as road dogs with a short line. So there's some numbers for you there. Both teams off 2 days rest, of course. You do get a maybe potential little bit of fatigue for the Bulls, with an overtime game, but they had plenty of time to get it right. Let's see. Alex says Bulls will win. T Money says Bulls straight up money line. That could be it too. And I think somebody mentioned this. Maybe it was Lingowick. Just play the game live, man. It could be a really good live betting game. Maybe a Bulls spot here. Yeah, it could be. All right, let's go on to the last game on the board, man. Let's get to this Philadelphia 76ers and Miami Heat game. So this line is still at 4.5. The total has come down, I think, a full point now. Opened at 208.5. Well, 1.5. Opened at 208.5, down to 207. And like I said, the spread has pretty much stayed the same. So really, really difficult game to cap here. I think if you want Philly, you probably take them now with the hopes that Embiid is going to play. From what I've read, it does seem like he is going to play. But let's talk about the Heat first. So Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, and Kevin Love all listed as questionable in the injury report. This is the Miami Heat team that, similar to Golden State, played their best basketball on the road. I mentioned this in yesterday's show. 24-17 straight up, 24-15-2 against the spread on the road. The Miami Heat play their best basketball on the road. They also play well as road dogs. The Heat finished the season on a 7-3 run. They were also 6-3-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. And this will be the first road game after 3 straight home games for the Miami Heat. They had those back-to-back games against the Toronto Raptors to finish out the season. So the Sixers, I talked about Embiid, but you also got Milton and KJ Martin all listed as questionable as well. So yesterday, Embiid did go through a full practice with no concerns about his knee, and he is expected to play per the Philadelphia beat writers. But Nick Nurse did say he was hopeful. Like, he didn't say Embiid was, going to play. He did say Embiid was locked in yesterday. He said he was super locked in and really wants to win. Melton did not go through practice yesterday. So just some injury report information. So you look at this Philadelphia 76ers team. And I really wanted to get here with the Heat. Like, I think the Heat can keep the game close. This is the couple reasons why I couldn't know. And I gave you guys the numbers for the Miami Heat already. This Philly team is 25-16 straight up at home this season. 24-16-1 against the spread. They finished the last 10 games 8-2 straight up and 10-0 against the spread. With Embiid in this season, the Sixers finished 31-8 overall straight up, like whether at home or on the road. 31-8 straight up, 28-11 against the spread, winning by an average margin of 10 points per game. And in the last 5 games that Embiid came back after the All-Star break, 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread since Embiid returned from his injury. So my thoughts was with everyone in for Philly, they've been the much better team to finish the regular season. They finished not only the 6th rated offensive team over the last 2 weeks, but more importantly, they were the number 1 rated defense over the last 2 weeks. They'll need to not foul because they have been fouling at the 7th highest rate over the last 2 weeks. And the Miami Heat, a team that really struggles to score offensively, they've been taking the 2nd most free throws over the last 2 weeks. Their offense relies heavily on being able to get to the free throw line. And then they knock those free throws down. So I think this is really just a really, really difficult matchup for the Miami Heat. Because the way I think about it is Miami's a really good defensive team. They typically play better against, like, when you're a really good defensive team, you rely heavily on your defense. But if you're playing against another really, really good defensive team, then your offense is going to be even more stagnant. And you look at this Miami Heat offense, they really, really struggle to score the basketball. So just jumping a little bit on the total real quick before we wrap up, in the 5 games since Embiid returned from injury, and this talks about Philly's defense and then being number 1 rated defensive team, in the 5 games since Embiid returned, Philly has allowed just 104.2 points per game. They've held 4 of their 5 opponents to less than 105 points, or 105 points or less. It's significant because, as I kind of just said, Miami struggled to score the basketball. On the season, they finished 21st in offensive rating, as far as points scored per 100 possessions, 24th in offensive rebounds. So not giving themselves a lot of chances for second chance opportunities. But they were the 5th best defense, and they allowed the 4th fewest free throws, and they finished in 3rd fewest rebounds. So they've been an excellent team of keeping teams off the rebounds. They do the fundamental stuff, right? They don't foul. The Heat finished the season 17-8 to the under as road dogs this season. That's 78%. But all of those totals, but 2 of them were higher than the current 207 number. So I feel like, the bookmakers put it at 207 for a reason. Like, this is extremely low total. So in my opinion, I do think that Miami is going to struggle to score here. I think Philly is going to be locked in and motivated. And I would like Philly. I mean, I would like Miami in a lot of other matchups. I don't like them here if Embiid plays, though. So if I'm playing a game, I am taking Philadelphia minus the 4.5 here. But it's not anything that I play. I also think, looking towards their team total to go over, I think Miami, they've been a really great defensive team. But I think that Philly gets to, like 103 points. I do think that they get there in this game. So those are my thoughts. Let's see. John says, I like Philly. Could be my heart and not my head, but one of the hottest teams or the hottest team in the league. Also looking at the 76ers over their team total. So some alignment there with John. Derek says Maxey scored 30 in last 3 games versus Miami. Tariq says 76ers first half for him. PZ says, I'm loving the under in this game. So some definitely not a line there. I mean, maybe it still could go under, but I do think that Philly could get to like 103, 104 points. Like, this offense has been rolling, and I do think that they can keep it going here. I know that the pace is going to be slow, but with how efficient the 76ers have been on the offensive end, I do think, and they got some really good matchup advantages. One thing I always think about when I think about Miami is the defensive liabilities. Duncan Robinson can't guard anybody. He could potentially return for this game. In my opinion, Tyler Hero can't guard anybody. He going to be out there too. And if you get those guys against Maxey, it's barbecue chicken. It's really, really barbecue chicken. Maxey will eat against either one of those guys. And also Terry Rozier can't guard anybody either, in my opinion. So a lot of help, I think, for the Miami Heat. And I think Philly will be able to spread the ball and knock down some corner shots, some threes as well. So yeah, over for the Philadelphia 76ers team total if I had to play it. And I'd also be looking towards, Philly laying the 4.5. I do think the line's going to move when Embiid officially gets ruled in, and you'll probably be able to get a 5 if you do want to take the Heat. But it'd be 4.5 or nothing for me on the Philly side, understanding that Miami has been a really, really good road team, and they play really, really well as dogs as well. So those are my thoughts. Let's see. Will says Tyrese Maxey has arguably been the best player preference-wise, not only on the Sixers, but in the head-to-head match. As great as Embiid is, I think Maxey's way to manipulate the Heat defense is crazy. And I kind of agree with this. I do kind of agree with this. Derek says, I don't see Miami being able to keep up. I agree with this. Sam says, damn, it makes sense to yell at your TV, especially if you rewind it and put it on delay. I don't understand this, Sam. T Money says, sprinkling a little on Joel Embiid triple-double here. Yeah, I couldn't talk you off, man. Like, Bam's gonna have his hands full here for sure. And Derek says he likes Maxey over his 23.5 points. Could be worth a look here. So not playing it, but definitely worth a look. So that is the show. I haven't jumped into any player props at all. Like, I really just like the Warriors a lot, man. And that's what I play. And that's what I would leave you guys with too. Top player today. I gave it out at minus 115. You've lost 30 cent, almost 30 cent. 27 cent of value, but I do think that they are the best player on the board. I'm not touching the Lakers and the Pelicans as I see that line come down to a pick. So money coming in on the Lakers here. Clearly, the total, down to 223. Golden State, Sacramento already gave it out. Definitely shop around, but DraftKings actually had the minus 142 as the best price when I saw it. And then the other games, you can wait for tomorrow, but that total is continuing to go up between Atlanta and Chicago, up to 221 now. Miami and Philly is still 4.5, and total is still 207. So appreciate you guys for tapping in. Real quick through the comments one more time. Nobody says Warriors. Will says appreciate your hard work, Chris. Chris, the best of luck. Appreciate this. And Yeah, that's like I said, I'll probably this evening, if not tomorrow morning, we'll go through some series prices for some of these teams. I do like a couple of the dogs. Yeah, I do like a couple of the dogs. So I'll save that, and let you guys know what I'm looking at as far as like who I think could win some of these matchups. We do know a couple of them. We just don't know everybody yet. We got the Knicks waiting, we got the Nuggets waiting, we got the Celtics waiting, and the Thunder waiting. But we do know that the Suns are going to play the Timberwolves, that the Pacers are going to play the Bucks, that the Mavs going to play the Clippers. So it is some matchups that we know already, and I'm excited to be able to break them down with you guys and get to it. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. The comments like this make me want to keep going. Eric, he says, great show. Appreciate that. Dano says, don't forget about about playoff Bam. He different. Don't sleep. That's a fact. Bam can turn up for the playoffs. Says go check the numbers from last year. Jamie says he's sprinkling on LeBron and Sabonis to both get a triple-double. Corey says we will win. Let's go Warriors. I like it. I like it a lot, man. Here are the resources that I use. I always like sharing them with you guys. So if people are interested, definitely check these out. All my plays when I do make them are also in they're in the link for the YouTube video. So if you guys are interested in becoming members, $5.99 a month to get you all my plays when I do post them. When I do make them, I post them to the chat, to the YouTube members, and you guys are going to email with the play as soon as I make it. Like, share, and subscribe to the video. Like, share, and subscribe to the video if you guys found this helpful and you haven't done so already. Best of luck on all your action, man. And maybe a player prop or something if I like something, maybe a little sprinkle on something tonight. But we're not forcing anything. That's how we went up 40 units on the season, by not forcing plays. So Warriors for me today, man. Best of luck to you guys. I hope you guys cash on whatever it is that you do like, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.